Good day and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. 5 people shot, 3 fatally in St. Andrew. American retiree found murdered in St. Anne. And later in sports, West Indies wins second test match to draw Series 1-1 against Pakistan. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carrie Simpson. Here are the details. A soldier was killed in a deadly gun attack along Malines Road in St. Andrew this morning. Dead is 26-year-old Wayne Dixon, a private in the Jamaica Defense Force. According to reports, the incident happened near the Olympia Crown Hotel on Malines Road.
Further information suggests that rival gang members attended a popular nightclub located in the marketplace along Constant Spring Road. After leaving the club, members of the Rome gang were traveling in the motor car along Malines Road when 2 men who we believe are aligned to the William Lane gang and traveling on a motorcycle opened gunfire on the said motor car being driven by the now deceased.
Officer for Area 4, Senior Superintendent Michael Phipps, says the motor car collided with the motorcycle. He says the police are now looking for persons of interest.
I've seen a very quick response by the police, and this led to the recovery of 2 firearms from the scene. 1, an M16 rifle with 2 magazines and a Taurus pistol with 2 magazines. 2 men from the motor car have been taken into custody in regards to investigations into criminal activities across the corporate area. We, at this time, are seeking 2 other persons of interest. One goes by the name of Mushi Gushi and Whistle. We believe that these persons can assist us in our investigations regarding this particular incident.
A 72-year-old American citizen and retiree was discovered robbed and murdered in her Pyramid Heights home in St. Anne on January 25. According to reports, the victim had received 3 deliveries from a local hardware store in Ocho Rios on the afternoon of January 24. At least 3 individuals from the delivery team were seen entering the property around 5 p.m. TVJ News understands that the following morning, the victim's housekeeper found her bound and apparently strangled and summoned the police. An investigation has been launched. Thousands of young people are expected to benefit from the Child and Adolescent Guidance and Therapeutic Wellness Center, which was officially opened in Montego Bay St. James last Thursday. Now, the facility, which was built to the tune of $110 million, will be a safe haven where children and adolescents who are exhibiting abnormal behavior to get the necessary help needed to stay away from a life of crime.
You are amazing. That's the bold reminder to children who will be seeking psychosocial help from the Child and Adolescent Guidance and Wellness Center in St. James. The facility is the first of its kind to be opened in the country. At the grand opening at Humber Avenue in St. James, National Security Minister Dr. S. Chang says the facility will also help with crime prevention.
This particular focus on the prevention aspect of our crime fighting operations, because we need to catch the youngsters and the children who are being exposed to violence and other social dysfunction before they actually become active in the criminal network.
Dr. Chang believes the facility will help these children who are oftentimes exposed to criminal activities.
They will get the required psychological counseling, but at the same time, the social workers will be able to see to what extent we can resolve some of the social issues behind them. And that really gives a holistic approach in this very center. And the next door, they'll, of course, have a timeout for school children who may have, showing signs of problems in school.
Consultant pediatrician at the Cornwall Regional Hospital, Dr. Tracy Evans Gilbert, was beaming with excitement at the opening ceremony.
I am elated because I work with adolescents in the hospital, and when we got a mental health person to participate in their care, it was night and day. It was night and day. And the regular child who doesn't have a chronic illness needs this kind of support. When you go through adolescence, it's just, turmoil and people don't listen. And a lot of training has been going on for us to be more friendly to the adolescents, give them a voice, give them a space, allow them to get through that challenging time of their lives. And this space is a dream come true.
Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton also noted how important a facility of this nature is to the nation's children.
This is absolutely a necessity. And the people who are going to benefit from this, I am sure will be extremely appreciative. The persons and institutions who are contributing to this, I want to salute and say a big thank you for that. And from a health perspective, Ministry of Health and Wellness, this for us is an essential partnership as we seek to build societies starting one community at a time.
Meanwhile, Dr. Chang made this announcement.
It will be expanded. I can't say across the island immediately, but we are looking at towards further sites in the very near term, that we can reach the most challenged communities. The kind of service that we provided here and begin the process of winding down our level of violence to a level that is more acceptable.
Kimberly Petty for TVJ News.
Criminals are often protected by communities out of fear rather than respect. That's according to criminologist Dr. Jason Mackay. He was speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica Monday.
Othniel Tickman Loban was viewed by residents as a powerful force who provided them with protection and in some instances money to sustain their basic needs. But police say the deceased leader of the One Order gang was known to orchestrate several murders and was also linked to spearheading a thriving extortion ring. Criminologist Dr. Jason Mackay is of the view that it is because of fear residents have responded to Tickman's death with protests.
You grow up in a garrison, you get used to the fact that the system, which is the gang, is in charge of the community. You don't necessarily like it, because there is far more abuse and there is Robin Hood type of activity going on here. But you behave like that because you're constantly afraid and you're almost brainwashed into this belief.
Criminologist Ari Blake agrees.
Due to cognitive dissonance, you agree that what you're seeing, your belief and your values are contradictory. So you believe what you know is wrong, but because of the system that you are used to, you have to accept it.
Socialization?
For example, and cultural factors. So for example, an honest killer, an honest criminal, for example, they exist.
Yeah,
they believe in their head they exist.
There were folks in the community saying he's a kind man, a giving man.
Give him. And this is the instance that they perpetrate the fear and the social factors.
It is also believed that the lack of a social infrastructure has created avenues for criminals to infiltrate communities.
In their instances, by providing charity towards, the new basic school need a new chair, or the hospital need a new ward, for example. By them providing these services, they have a hold on the community. The community feel obligated now to not only protect them, but also to legitimize their means. Because if the community, if the social structure and infrastructure of the government did fix all of this, then the Don wouldn't have somewhere for it to seep through and do it look 1, 2, 1, 2.
It is why there's a call for the government to address the root causes.
Human beings have a desire and a need to be known and to be respected and to be thought of as excellent. And if we cannot get it through goodness, then we're going to get it through badness. So if we do not identify the root social malaise, the breakdown that we have in the society, we're going to continue seeing these situations coming up time and time again.
Nakinski Robinson, TVJ News.
The People's National Party, PNP, is criticizing the government's approach to the Integrity Commission. Opposition leader Mark Golding made the assertion at a party meeting in St. Mary last night.
Andrew Holness bring a lawsuit to try and overturn the entire anti-corruption framework of the country, and to say that there's no such offence as illicit enrichment, which he's under investigation for as the first of the 8 that the Integrity Commission has brought the report to Parliament. He's not in good standing with the Integrity Commission. And it is a disgrace to Jamaica that our head of government is in that position. If it was me in that position, me that take with myself, I wouldn't have the effrontery to say I must continue to run the country.
Meeting was held to formally introduce Omar Woodbine as the PNP candidate for Western St. Mary.
Let us do the work. Let us put in the effort. The time is good, flowing politically good, flowing in our direction. We must put any little isms and schisms aside, any little personality conflict between us and each other, and make sure that we work together to deliver the victory. And I say to you in Western St. Mary, we did it in 2011, and we're going to do it again. Are you ready to deliver a victory for this constituency?
It's time for a break. Stay with us, more local stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Attorney at law Clive Monroe Jr. is advocating for the Court Administration Division, CAD, to team up with stakeholders to provide more public education on how the justice system works. The call comes amid claims of corruption within the judiciary, sparked by several high-profile cases. He was speaking on RGR's That's a Wrap Sunday.
I think, though, the judiciary in the modern time finds itself in a funny space. It's not unusual for judges to make extrajudicial statements. Chief Justice makes extrajudicial statements about jury trials, for example. About the question of corruption, though, is a different thing. And it is true, as has been noted in cases, justice is not cloistered in virtue. Judges are not bigger than criticism. But the way how information and disinformation works at this time is that it goes far beyond just the idea of criticism.
Mr. Monroe Jr. says recently President of the Court of Appeal, Marva MacDonald Bishop, defended the judiciary's integrity, challenging critics to provide evidence of corruption among judges. While acknowledging that judges can be criticized, he emphasized the need to distinguish between constructive criticism and damaging social media posts in today's era of misinformation.
Statements that are not premised in any reality or fact in large social media gatherings that are then propelled all throughout the world, because I've been to places abroad, outside of Jamaica, where people make statements about judges that I know are false. CAD, which is supposed to have a media arm, really should do better in this particular form to assist the judiciary in quelling some of those things. And maybe they need to go further and have some of the attorneys in media and other media persons to assist them in that way.
To a TVJ News follow-up, residents of Babylon Lane, Seaford, St. Thomas are breathing a sigh of relief. This as the authorities have moved to address the dust nuisance emanating from nearby roadwork on the southern coastal highway. They say they're grateful.
We're glad the work started. Yes, because if we never cry out, then we wouldn't come and start the work on the road. But I thank them for hearing our voice and cry out of the dust, so we thank them very much. We see progress now is happening on the road, and they are wetting the road now, so I thank them very much.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
There could be another commercial bank in Jamaica shortly if the Bank of Jamaica approves an application by Barita Investments to convert Cornerstone Trust and Merchant Bank into a commercial bank. CEO designate of the Barita Financial Group, Dane Broadber, recently told shareholders about the plan to convert the Cornerstone Trust and Merchant Bank into a commercial bank, subject to the BOJ's approval. Further afield, in the United States, Kia is recalling more than 80,000 SUVs over a wiring issue that could affect the vehicle's seatbelts or airbags. The recall affects the Kia Niro built between 2023 and 2025. Specifically, the EV plug-in hybrid and hybrid crossover SUVs. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, wiring in the floor could become damaged and prevent airbags and seatbelts from operating properly. So far, there have been no injuries related to the recall. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Hal Shane Burke.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Haiti's interim president, Leslie Voltaire, is sounding the alarm on the devastating impact of the Trump administration's decisions on Haiti. He warned that freezing aid programs, deporting migrants, and blocking refugees will have catastrophic consequences for the already struggling nation. With half of Haiti's 11.4 million people already facing hunger, he emphasized that losing humanitarian assistance will only worsen the situation. He also expressed concerns about the U.S. plans to expel roughly 1.5 million Haitians living in the U.S. The situation in Haiti is dire, with gang violence causing internal displacement to triple over the last year, affecting over 1 million people. On the international scene, ICE reports almost 1,000 arrests and more than 500 detainees yesterday. Those numbers are from at least Metro Atlanta, Puerto Rico, Colorado, LA, Austin, and Chicago. The border czar says violent criminals were the targets of a Chicago blitz, and the Illinois governor says he'd be fine if it had stopped there. But he says authorities also went after people whose only crime was entering the U.S. illegally. Meanwhile, Colombia says it's resuming acceptance of U.S. deportation flights. That's after its refusal to accept 2 of them led to both countries' leaders threatening hikes on tariffs. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Amoy Harriet.
Thanks, Amoy. We now head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.